Your life is built on an outdated blueprint that no longer fits the person you need to become for the next decade. Evolution demands that you dismantle your current character to architect specific new traits. Stop respecting the person you used to be and start designing the person you actually need. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When was the last time you felt genuinely excited about where your life was heading? Not just comfortable, actually lit up from the inside like something real was coming? If you have to remember it, that pause is the answer. Most people in their late 30s and 40s don't fall apart dramatically. There's no explosion, no single moment they can point to and say, that's where it all went wrong. Instead, something quieter happens. They wake up one Tuesday morning, look in the mirror, and realize the person staring back at them is running software that was installed 15 years ago. And the world they're trying to navigate has completely changed. Here's what nobody talks about. The regret that destroys people after 40 isn't about the risks they took. It's about the version of themselves they refuse to let go of. You've been loyal to a character you built in your 20s. That version of you made sense back then. It got you through your early career, your first real relationships, your initial attempts at building something. But that character was designed for a completely different game. And right now, the game has mutated beyond recognition. The economy doesn't care about your loyalty to your past self. The job market isn't impressed by what you used to be capable of. And the brutal, uncomfortable truth? The traits that got you to where you are right now are almost certainly not the traits that will carry you through the next decade. Think about that for a second. The skills you spent years mastering, the identity you worked so hard to build, the reputation you've been carefully protecting, all of it, potentially obsolete. Now, before you shut this off, stay with me. I'm here for you, and I'm about to hand you a way out of this. Every single step laid out. Just stay with me till the end, because what I'm about to walk you through isn't a motivational pep talk. It's an architectural blueprint. And when you understand it, you won't just feel inspired, you'll feel dangerous. There's a process I call the deep delta analysis. It's not complicated, but it is confronting. You take an honest look at your current cognitive bandwidth, meaning how you actually think, process, and adapt right now. And you hold it up against what an AI-integrated workforce is going to demand by the end of this decade. Not what it demanded 5 years ago, not what it demands today, what it will demand in 2030 and beyond. What's the gap? For most people, it's enormous. And the terrifying part isn't the gap itself. The terrifying part is that most people don't even know the gap exists. They're still optimizing for a world that's being dismantled in real time. So here's what I want you to try. Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine your 2036 self, not the hopeful, idealized version, the real version, the person you actually become if you keep operating exactly as you are right now. What does that person look like? What are they doing? Are they leading something, building something? Or are they quietly irrelevant, wondering what happened? Now here's where it gets psychologically interesting. Flip it. Imagine your 2036 self as the version of you that made the hard choices, the one who did the uncomfortable work, the one who was willing to feel stupid, awkward, and out of place while learning entirely new ways of thinking and operating. That person is watching you right now. And they're not angry, they're not disappointed in the usual way. They're frustrated because they can see exactly what you need to do. And they're watching you hesitate. That frustration, that psychological pull from your future self, that is one of the most powerful motivational forces you will ever access. Most people never tap into it because they're too busy being haunted by their past self instead of being summoned by their future one. But here's where most self-improvement advice completely falls apart. It stops at visualization. It stops at mindset. It tells you to think differently without giving you a mechanism to actually become different. Thinking about becoming someone new doesn't work. Journaling about it doesn't work. Vision boards definitely don't work. What works is what I call identity prototyping. You don't think your way into a new identity. You perform your way into one. You start behaving like the person you need to become before you feel ready, before you feel qualified, before it feels natural. You take on new social roles. You make high-stakes decisions through the lens of your future self. You repeat the behavior until your nervous system stops flagging it as foreign, until it becomes default. This is not fake it till you make it. That's a surface level hack. This is deeper. This is a mercenary rebirth. You are treating your personality like modular software. You are identifying the outdated code, isolating it, and replacing it with architecture that actually serves the version of life you're trying to build. Your personality is not sacred. Your habits are not your identity. The way you've always done things is not a virtue. It's just familiarity. And familiarity at this stage of your life might be the single most dangerous thing you're holding on to. So what does this actually look like in practice? Because I know some of you are nodding along, but wondering when this gets real. When does it become something you can actually do before you close this video and move on with your life? It starts with an identity audit. You're going to sit down and isolate 3 specific goals on your current list that belong to your past self. Not goals that are hard, goals that are wrong. Goals you're still chasing because you set them years ago and you haven't given yourself permission to let them go. Those goals are dead weight, and carrying dead weight into the next decade isn't humble. It's self-destructive. After that, you define your 2030 avatar, 5 non-negotiable character traits that the global landscape is going to demand from you in the next 4 years. Not skills necessarily, traits, how you think, how you adapt, how you handle uncertainty, how quickly you can rebuild your own operating system when the environment shifts. Write those 5 traits down, make them specific, make them uncomfortable. Then comes what I call the 48-hour costume change. You pick one new habit or aesthetic that aligns with your future self, and you implement it immediately, not next Monday, not after you've researched it thoroughly, now. And here's the rule. You ignore all external feedback for the first 48 hours because the people around you are used to the old version of you. Their feedback is calibrated to someone you're trying to stop being. Now here's the step that most people skip entirely because it scares them the most. You burn the reputation bridge. You make a declaration, public or private, that signals a new direction. You sever the social contract of "this is just who I am." Because the most insidious trap people fall into isn't laziness. It's the need to stay consistent with how others see them. People-pleasing consistency is the silent killer of transformation. And finally, you build it into your calendar. A quarterly self-obsolescence review. Every 3 months, you sit down and ask yourself one question. What version of me is no longer optimal for where I'm trying to go? And you shed it deliberately, without sentimentality. Here's what I need you to understand before this ends. The people who will dominate the next decade are not necessarily the smartest. They're not the most experienced. They're not even the most talented. They're the ones who are willing to burn the old version down and rebuild with what the future actually requires. They're the ones who looked at the person they used to be, said "thank you for getting me here," and then let it go completely. The regret that quietly destroys people after 40 isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It just shows up one morning when you realize you spent your best years being faithful to a version of yourself that the world stopped needing. The question is simple. Are you going to keep protecting who you were, or are you finally ready to architect who you actually need to become? Because the blueprint is right here, and the only thing standing between you and the person you're capable of being is the decision to start. If you found this helpful, subscribe. Share it with someone who might need to hear this. And tell me your thoughts in the comments.